My name is Kateryna, and I'm so excited to be here today. This is my first talk ever. And yeah, let's start. Today I would like to share with you our success story, how we managed to save time by teaching developers how to test their own features. So I work at Badoo. Badoo is a dating company, and we actually have 388 million registered users, and every day 300,000 people sign in and register. And our 60 million monthly active users generate 350 million messages per day. And we are live on Android, iOS, BlackBerry, Windows Phone, mobile web, and desktop web. I personally test our iOS application where you can find us in App Store. It's really great. And in iOS, we have weekly releases that has up to 8 features, up to 24 bug fixes, and up to 9 technical tasks. And all of that weekly needs to be tested. So what problem did we have? We wanted to do some interesting tasks, automation, non-functional testing, and so on. But due to high reopen rate, we found ourselves being loaded with regressions and just didn't have time for those valuable things that we also thought were important. So we decided to work on our reopen rate. Imagine the perfect world with ponies and butterflies. In this perfect world, it would only take development time plus testing time to get a feature to master. In our case, it is multiplied by 2 because we test feature both in branch and in integration. However, in reality, sometimes reopen happens. And at this stage, we start adding time. First thing, we add time for ticket being reopened and waiting for it to be picked up by developer. Then we add time for context switching and bug fixing. After that, we add time for waiting in review queue, in QA queue, and finally retesting. And with only one reopen, we add time for 5 additional items, which is not cool. So our team came up with this brilliant idea of QA equals no tickets. This basically means that ticket is merged to master without being tested by QA on any stage. Of course, it's easy to say, let's move tickets without QA, but we knew that we needed to provide developers with a guideline how to perform sufficient testing for their own features. And this is how we created a testing mind map. So the tool that could help them to know what testing is sufficient for their feature. So the mind map consists of 10 sections. As you can see, it's functionality, user interface, navigation, billing, statistics, network, automation, consistency, other, and communication. The biggest one is, of course, functionality. We here need to make sure that feature works as it is designed to. So all the checks look like this, but the most important ones is to check positive cases, main iOS versions, all possible input options, usability of buttons and controls, as well as permissions. The stars stand here for the important checks. So the next section is user interface. It's very important because this is what our user interacts with. And here the main checks are performing visual QA. This is when developer takes their feature to designer, and designer verifies that all the screens look fine. Then pagination, press states, multi-lines, and other checks in this section. The next thing is navigation. We want to make sure that user gets the perfectly working app when they open it from different entry points. So here, the most important ones are checking folding, unfolding, locking, unlocking, killing and relaunching, different cases with opening up from pushes, landings, 3D touch, navigation to another up and back, as well as modular open screens. The next thing is billing. So here, we suggested developers to verify all our payment options. So Sandbox, credit card, PayPal. We need to make sure that first purchase works, as well as one-click payment if user purchases it for the second and next times. And never forget for countries with no payments, because sometimes we get really nasty bugs there. The next thing is statistics. We need to make sure that our feature is tracked correctly. And here, we need to check all the stats we can send. It's server and console logs, hot panel, Jimba, and AppsFire. The next thing is network. Because we test mobile application, it's very important to check different connectivity cases. And here, it's really nice to use network link conditioner to check different networks like 3G, Edge, Wi-Fi, as well as no connection. And in case of 3G, Edge, we need to make sure that loaders and placeholders appear there. The next thing is automation. As a QA guys, we all know that automation is a very powerful tool. Here, we wanted developers to get involved and to run automation tests, so they are useful for developers as well. And here, we suggest them to run regression suite, full or only those parts that were touched by the feature, obviously, and tell automation team if something breaks by their changes, so that automation team could apply a quick fix and everyone is happy. The next thing is consistency. Sometimes we get the situation when developer implements feature after it is already implemented on other platform, Android or mobile web, and then we need to make sure that our implementation basically matches the implementation on other platform. The next thing is other, which here stands for security. So we needed to check signing in, signing out, signing in with a different user, captchas, security pages, and so on. And finally, communication. Of course, we told developers that we are here, we are ready to help, and if you need any help with test scenarios for your QA/No tickets or any help at all, we are here. You can ask some questions, as well as you can ask questions from product team and like team that writes technical documentation for us. So when we saw all sections, it's now time to see the full picture. It looks like this. And obviously, the reaction of developers at first was a bit like this. So the first question was, do we really need to test all that? Which was followed by the next one. And how much time would it take? So here we needed to clarify that mind map is only big because we don't know with what part of application you are going to work. So we try to predict all the cases. But most likely, you won't need to use the complete mind map, and it won't take as much time as you think it will. So, yeah, you only need to use those checks that are applicable to your particular ticket. So, what we thought? We thought that better testing on development stage will lead to better understanding of feature and dependencies, which will then lead to a better quality in branch QA, and we get faster delivery, so everyone is happy. However, when we took this path in reality, firstly, we had quite a few bugs with QA/No tickets, which was expected probably. But then we kept working with determination. We tried to find dependencies, tried to figure out why this happened, how we could prevent it. And in a month or so, we saw the first results. So time savings were really noticeable. And to sum up, before we started, almost all the tickets were tested by QA. Now we have 54% of bugs and 23% of features done as QA no tickets, which means that our involvement in test automation grows. So at first, when we got a bit of time and started investing it into automation, we could only do some simple tasks. However, now, when we have already experience, we know our base and so on, we can accomplish some really interesting tasks by ourselves, like implementing features and so on, which is really cool. So thank you for your attention. This is the link to how I created this mind map and how you can create your own. And thank you very much for my team who is here to support me. That's it.